What's up YouTube? We're back in this thing. Today we're going to be going over the Snot Watch Out music video. It just came out like less than an hour ago. I've watched it through and I felt like I could really break down like three main effects that are going on there. It's like a pretty simple music video. The effects that are done are pretty cool. If you're coming from the Snot Watch Out music video, because I probably commented there, what we're doing here is we're doing a thing called Tutorial Miss. It's where I upload one tutorial every day all of December. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. I will include the link to the Tutorial Miss playlist down below. It's going to be the first link in the description, so if you want to catch up and learn some effects, go ahead and do that. Also, I saw Snot go live on Instagram and kind of preview this music video like right before he's about to publish it, so that's kind of how I figured out about it. So that's how we're doing this tutorial so fast. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram because I've been working on this texture pack that's probably about to be coming out in the next few days, and there's going to be a little discount when it first comes out. So if you want first dibs on that, go over to my Instagram and hit me with a follow. Also, if you have any tutorial ideas, you can DM me on Instagram or comment them down below in the comments. But yeah, that's enough talking right now. Let's get into the video and kind of break down these effects. So I noticed there was three main effects here. One of them being this blur kind of low shutter speed effect. Going forward, again, here's that blur. It's a little bit different here. We'll be showing you how to do something like that. I'm also going to be showing you how to do the scanline effect where it looks like it's coming out of like a TV and it has like these edges and stuff. That's really easy to do. So we're going to be going over that. I think I got that effect actually like pretty dialed in. And then lastly, we're going to be just going over how to do this kind of film wipe transition, or I don't know what you'd call it, like some kind of swipe where it just zooms in and like goes to the next frame like that. So yeah, let's find some clips and break down those three effects. All right, so for that first effect, we're going to be doing the TV scanline effect that I was talking about. I really like the way that looked. I think it's pretty simple to do. All you're going to have to do is go to your project and create a new adjustment layer and then drag that over where you want the effect to take place. So I'm just going to drag it over this whole clip I have cut out. And that's not going to do anything right off the bat, but we're going to go ahead and go to our effects and type in grid and then drag that onto the adjustment layer above your clip. And it's going to bring up something like this, which, you know, it's obviously not what we want right now, but you're going to make the anchor point on the left-hand side 0. And then we're going to go to width and height sliders. And then you're going to drag the width until you do not see any more vertical bars. So once that bar is finally out of there, so you can see there are no more vertical bars in the whole thing, that's what we want. And then you can play around with the height if you want. Obviously, the closer together or whatever they are, the more it's going to be closer together. I don't know. I don't really know exactly how to describe it, but you know what I mean. And then we're going to go ahead and click color and bring that to black. And then you can go ahead and drag the blending mode to something like overlay. I think overlay looks pretty good for what we're looking for. And then the border is how thick the lines are going to be. So depending on how thick you want the lines to be, we can tweak that a little bit. I think I'm going to go with something like 4 and then maybe play around with the height a little bit, bring them a little closer together. So we got something like that. So we already kind of have that TV look effect, but to sell it and kind of bring the colors in, we're going to drag something like tint onto the actual video clip here, and it's going to make it black and white, and it's going to map the black to white. And what we want is, we noticed in that one clip, it was a little bluish, but like it was kind of white. So we're going to do something like that, like maybe like a light bluish green, something like that. And then I think that's looking pretty good. Another way we can sell the effect is just going to lumetri color, and then I'm actually going to drag that onto the adjustment layer above. And the reason is because we're going to do that like those edges here, and we don't want it on the actual video clip just in case we like zoom in or something. So clicking on the adjustment layer and going to the lumetri color, I noticed it was a lot brighter, so we can just artificially brighten up the clip with exposure here. Maybe something like 2.4. We can bring up the highlights if we want. Just basically, this is where you can just color the clip and kind of make it look whatever you want. You can maybe drag down the saturation a little bit. I noticed in his effect or whatever, we can find a clip so we can compare. What we can do here is actually go to the comparison view. So if you want to like get real close, you can import a clip of what his looked like and then compare. So let's see. So that's what they have. I think theirs is maybe a little bit thicker of the bars, so we can go ahead and change those if you want. It doesn't have to be exactly, you know, we're just kind of trying to replicate the effect. Like I said, going to vignette here in the lumetri color on the adjustment layer and bringing the vignette to like -5, and then we can play with the roundness a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit more, and then we can bring the feather down. I'm going to bring the feather down actually all the way just to kind of see where this effect's going. And then you can drag the midpoint out and get those like edges and then feather a little bit. And then I'm going to actually bring the midpoint back a little closer so we have those lines here. And then we're just going to render that out and see what that looks like. So I'm going to leave the comparison view just so we can see what that looks like a little bit better. And I'm really liking the way that looks. I think that looks pretty much exactly how they had it. Obviously, you can spend a little bit more time tweaking it however you like. Don't just copy the effect exactly for what it is. So I think that's pretty cool. Next, we're just going to do that slide transition. So I'm going to find 2 clips that I want to transition between. Maybe that one and this one. So there we are. I'm just going to delete the inside of that and go here. And then again, go into your project files, and you can drag the same adjustment layer on. It's not going to have the same effects. So you can do something like that and then just drag it over both of the clips. And what I'm going to do is go to the middle. So the frame where it transitions from each clip, and hold shift on the frame back, and it's going to bring us back 5 frames. And then I'm going to go to 10 and then cut that and then do the same thing the other way. So the whole transition in itself is 20 frames, 10 frames each side. And then you can go into your effects and drag an offset. And this is the effect that's going to allow it to swipe back and forth. Here, we'll show you in a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually have it go, and I'm going to try to find the exact center point. So like it's going to transition right when the clip split. And then we can go back to the first frame of it. Keyframe it where it's halfway through, then go back to the first frame and reset it, and then go to the last frame. And if you can't see it, you just go back 1 frame, make sure you're still keyframe there, and then drag that through. So you got to make sure you're dragging it the way the transition's going. You can't just reset it there. So right there looks good, and then we're going to drag it to the last frame. And then what we got is we have the swipe transition here. And you're going to notice it a lot here because it's done between the bright and dark clip. So keep that in mind when you're doing the effect. If you want the transition to be a little bit more smooth, maybe do 2 dark clips or 2 bright clips. But we can do something like directional blur and drag that onto the adjustment layer to make the transition a little bit easier. The blur length, we're just going to drag that up. And since it's going horizontal, we're going to want to turn this to 90. And then it's going to have that transition like that. And then we can go to blur length and go to the beginning and make it 0, and then the middle frame make it something, I don't know, like 19 or whatever I did, and then drag that there. And then what we're going to do is just click on all the keyframes, holding control, and then Bezier them. And we're going to do the same with the offset effects. So now we got something a little bit easier to see. And I noticed in the effect they did is they kind of had the clip already scaled in, something like this, and then maybe once it gets here, just reset it to its natural zoom. So what it's going to do is it's going to zoom out and kind of be zooming out while it's going. And then you can even do something like, so you can start this clip at like 100 and then go to like where it's here and maybe drag it into something like 110. And then again, just making those keyframes a little bit smoother, doing that, clicking on both the keyframes here. And there we are. You can see that it kind of has a little bit smoother of a transition. I think that looks pretty similar to what they did in the actual video. If you guys want me to do like a more in-depth version of this, maybe using like After Effects and making it look a lot more smooth, we can do something like that. So just let me know in the comments below. But I think for the sake of this tutorial and kind of how they did it in the actual music video, I think that's very close. And then lastly, the effect we're going to be doing is that it's like a little ghost trail echo. I actually have a tutorial on that in detail. It's called the JACKBOYS something. It's called JACKBOYS something on my channel. Here, I can pull it up real quick. It's called the JACKBOYS low shutter speed effect. And I think if you want to learn how to do the effect like really well, go ahead and watch that. But I'll show you just for the sake of this tutorial breaking down the music video, how to do it real quick. See, this is what we're going to be going over. And I think we can obtain something like that pretty quick here. So I'm just going to find a clip where there's a little bit of movement, maybe something like this. And then what you're going to want to do is search echo and drag that on. And then I like to use screen, but you can use any of the blending modes depending on what you're going for. And then maybe turning up the echoes to something like 5 and then the decay down to 0.8. And you can see that your clip got a lot brighter. So what you want to do is, actually what we can do is we can just copy and paste the adjustment layer from earlier and delete the lumetri color actually on the clip. And then instead of bumping up the exposure here, we can bump it down, maybe something like -2. And that's on the adjustment layer clip. Okay, so maybe something like -1. That's looking a little bit better. As you can see, we got the ghost-like trails. I'm thinking that looks pretty cool. We can go here and render this out and see what that looks like. And I think that looks pretty close to what they did in the video. Like I said, if you guys want a way more in-depth one, go ahead and I'll actually have it linked in the description. It's a JACKBOYS low shutter speed effect that kind of broke down that specific effect in way more detail and kind of how to tweak things and get it to look a little bit more like it did in the video. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for the video. If you made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate you. Thanks for doing that. If you're not already, subscribe, go ahead and like and comment. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for the video.